Alright, hello everyone, welcome back. First of all, we reached 100 subscribers, which is very nice. I thank you all for your support. And yeah, I am a little bit surprised that we reached 100 so fast. But yeah, so I thought to myself, why not make a little bit of a subscriber special? And this subscriber special is kind of a guide video about interface. Way, I know, yeah, this may not sound that exciting for you, but yeah, you should hear me out because interface for some of you guys is maybe some of you guys underestimate how important a good interface is, or an interface that you're comfortable with. Um, and for the others that are like really advanced with the class and with stuff like this, for those I have interface builded like in the past couple of days, and those is an interface which works like almost completely without action bars and only with cooldowns. And this interface, if you can use it, it's extremely good. So yeah, you maybe want to stick around if you don't know how to build this already, or if you're not feeling comfortable on getting used to this kind of interface, because for that I have a really great tip for you. So alright, let's first start with addressing like how important is an interface and what makes a good interface. So some people might say that the only thing that is really important is that you are comfortable with your interface, but this is not really 200% of the times true, because if you have your action bar down here and your rage bar up here, I don't know how you could feel comfortable with that. Maybe if you're like, your one eye is always looking here, and yeah, maybe if you're like a chameleon that can like use their eyes in two different ways, then you might feel comfortable with that. But if you're not a chameleon, this interface would be trash. Doesn't matter how you feel about this interface, okay? It's just not good, and I want to tell you why. So let's see. Standard interface, right? You have your buttons down here, and you have your rage and your health and your enemy up here. So every time you want to make a decision on what you're going to do next, you have to look at up here, enemy HP, your own HP, your rage. You want to look at your character, where you're positioned. You want to look at the enemy, where's the enemy position, and then you want to look down here to see what buttons you have available. So this takes like a shit ton of time, and it's just like it doesn't take a shit ton of time, but compared to the other option that you have, that I'm gonna tell you after that, it's going to take a shit ton of time, and time is important, because the less amount of time you need to gather all those informations that are important for your decision making to decide your next move. If you take less time to gather those informations, you have more time to think about this move, and so you're more likely to get to come along with a better like decision, right? So this is why I suggest putting all your important CDs, all that is factored into your rotation decision, like rage, swing timer, maybe stuff like recklessness duration, all that stuff, your HP, boss HP, and of course your positioning. Clump them all up, and this is why most people have their rage and swing timer be slightly below their character, and below that maybe they have their rotation buttons. Some people have their rotation buttons down here. It's only a tiny way to look for your cooldowns, like it's this far, it's not that far, but still it's further away than if you would just put it below your swing timer. So why put it down here? Maybe you really want that, then it's okay, obviously, but you always have to keep in mind that you're just a tiny bit worse. And if you don't want that, you want to clump that up as good as possible, and so that it makes sense to you. So this is why I have my character here, my rage here. The cooldowns from the rotation will be down here. The cooldowns that I use to buff myself or to heal myself are directly under my my health bar. So if I drop low, I see here, and I see immediately what have I available to counteract that. Mobility buttons, for example, will be displayed over the target. So I know what is available to close the gap to the target right now when I look at like the target. So this is kind of makes sense, right? And this is how you want to build up your interface, and you want to make a little thought process. So if you start to build a new interface, the main things you want to have, and we work with today is let's go to the add-ons tab. It's Bartender 4. It's a really nice add-on to make anything with your bars, really, with your action bars. And weakauras is like the add-on that everyone needs. Like without weakauras, playing without weakauras is a little bit funky. You really want to have this add-on in 2021. And here I suggest getting this. And these are the only two add-ons we are working with today for like the skeleton of the interface. Obviously you can use a lot more. If you're done with weakauras and Bartender, you can use a lot more add-ons together with that, like sexy map or shattered unit frames. You want plate add-on, like an add-on that is changing those things that you can activate with pressing the U button, or the I don't know which is the default button, but you can enable those. You should enable those, yeah, nameplates they are called, sorry for that hiccup. Yeah, so you want an add-on for those as well, but yeah, right now we are only working with the two add-ons you need to build the skeleton of your interface yourself. So why is it important for you to know how to build your own interface and not copy anything and don't know how to use it? It's because sometimes you get new spells added to your class because you changed your spec, or because there is a new expansion coming out or came out. And every time this happens, you have to kind of address your interface. And not only that, sometimes your skill level changes or your behavior changes in the game, and or you want to go into PvP all of the sudden, or you want to swap from PvP to PvE all of the sudden, and then you need to know how you can address your interface and make it fitting again for the new tasks, the new abilities and everything. Yeah, I wanted to show you the interface I came up with, like the super advanced interface, which is working without any action bars. So, like you can see here, the cooldowns are showing up here. Charges on cooldown, interceptors on cooldown, here Trinket on cooldown, whirlwind on cooldown. Now we have even popped recklessness here, look at that. Mortal strike on cooldown, sweeping strikes, everything. I have every little button, every cooldown is in this interface somewhere. See here, mocking blow, taunt, AoE taunt, everything. So, and intimidating shot, so yeah, everything basically. And this is a really good interface because it gives you a lot of space to, like, a lot of free room that you can see. Like, there's no button that is distracting you other than the ones that you want to see, because you want to see your cooldowns, you want to know what's available and whatnot. So to be able to use this interface, you need to know every single button of your class, and you need to know every single cooldown of your class, plus trinkets and everything. So this is a really, really advanced interface for really, really advanced players. But if you're not advanced with the class or with the interface, and with the class or with the game, I want to say, or not used to of an interface of that kind, there's one way you can very easily, no matter how bad you are right now, or how like fresh you are to the game right now, there's a way on how you can master this interface. And this is, you're going to level up a new warrior, and you use this interface from the start, and every couple of levels you get a new button that gets added to your interface, and you slowly learn step by step, very slowly, learn all your buttons and all your cooldowns and everything, and then you're going to be, when you reach max level, you're going to be a master with this interface. Obviously this is a big commitment, but for some people like me, it's always fun to level up a new warrior, and it's always cool to have more warriors, because sometimes I don't want to play a female orc, I want to be a male orc or whatever, or sometimes I want to wait more than only only one time in a week, and I want to raid on another warrior because it's my favorite class, and therefore I want to have 2 warriors, or maybe here we do not have dual specialization right now, so it might be worth to level up a new warrior that is for tanking or PvP, so you save a little bit of gold. Okay, with all that out of the way, I think we can just start with explaining how you use weakauras 2, Bartender 4, and how you can put everything in your interface or address the things that you want to address. So here we are going to swap into a new interface right now, and I'm going to explain how you want to build every single weakaura that you need and how you use Bartender. Alright, so here we are in the next section of the video. Yeah, now I want to show you how you can save your interface, how it is right now. And yeah, because maybe you think to yourself, yeah, I want to try this out, build my own interface. And yeah, first you have to try, maybe you don't like what you have done, or maybe you don't finish that in time, so you maybe want to back up your old interface first. So yeah, we want to go obviously into our World of Warcraft Classic folder, and then there's the WTF ordner that you can just drag out, and in this ordner, in this folder, there is everything saved that is saved for your options in your add-ons and stuff like this. I even went so far and downloaded new versions of Bartender 4 and Bartender 4 and weakauras and put them into into another folder. So this is my old interface. This is the one I showed to you, and in this folder there is the in this folder there will be the new interface I'm gonna build right now, or I use to show you guys how to build a new interface. So the WTF ordner is now in here, so we can close all that jazz and we can just start World of Warcraft here. And yeah, we're going to go step by step here all together, like a good Bob Ross tutorial video. Instructional tape 1 hour to about a beautiful interface building project, I guess. Yeah, if I would have a cam. Oh, I started the wrong Burning Crusade. So I don't know what this is. I think I deleted something. So the game sound will be really loud now because everything is reset. So yeah, this is the thing we have to address first, I guess. So our ears will not suffer too much. Alright, so sound, first of all, it's too loud. We don't want to get stressed. Alright, sorry, I got distracted there by a friend. Yeah, so we are logging into the game. Almost everything is reset, and our bars should look something like this because we installed Bartender 4, and this will crash our interface at first a little bit, but no worries. And so yeah, the first thing we want to do is we want to get off the mount, and we want to look for a zoom out that is the most comfortable for us. Like the zoom out we are going to use 90% of the time. Some boss fights, it's really good to zoom out a lot in some situations, or maybe you're just that kind of player that is always full zoom. But yeah, I was back in the day like that, but nowadays I really like to be as close as possible to the character, like so close that I can see all my moves, because it's just a lot of fun for me, and but not too close to like completely scuff my ability to look around. So yeah, but on some bosses I just zoom out, but doesn't matter. So you first need to find a zoom out that is like comfortable to you. And what you're gonna do next is you go to System Options, Advanced, and you're gonna scale your UI to a level that is like the closest, the smallest possible, so that you still can see all the numbers, and you feel comfortable with like the way, like the scale. But yeah, make it as low as you can. So if you can work with this, do it. If you need that, it's kind of a problem. But here, for me it would be around here. I think this is, yeah, I feel comfortable with that. Okay, press OK, back to the game. And now we want to start with a weak aura first. And that is, yeah, this video is for warriors, obviously, because the channel is for warriors. So if you're another class, I don't know how you want to start. Maybe with a mana bar or a cast bar. I guess you want to start with a cast bar if you are like another class. If you are in rogue, I think you want to start with an energy bar or a combo point thing. Doesn't matter. I think there are not really a lot of people in my channel that are not a warrior main. So yeah, let's just continue here. So first week hour we need to know how to do is the rage bar. So for rage bar so first, of course, we open our Weakaura tab with /WA in the chat, and then we press progress bar, and then we go to triggers, and then we going to go to player unit info on the type screen, and we set this one that is just right now set to health to power. So this equals mana or rage or energy, whatever your class uses. So we have a couple of other things. We are not worrying about those right now, because they are like stuff you can do, like for example, on this load tab you can say that it only loads if you're with warrior, or you can say that it only loads if you're in combat, which is a very dumb idea for a rage bar, honestly. And you can say that it will only load if you have certain talents, stuff like this. So yeah, if you are into that, you can use this load thing and read you through here, and yeah, you're gonna figure that out. It's not very complicated. So then you have your rage bar, and first of all you want to find a scale that is comfortable for you to look at. Like, I like to have my rage bar around this size, because it's super important information. It needs to be very visible, and it don't want to be like too hard to see, you know. So yeah, and then I'm going to drag this right below the feet of my character, like that. We can name it rage bar if we want. So, and then we have a little bit of text in this rage bar that is not very important. For example, here it says our name, so we don't want that. And there are actually two. So this display thing is like, first you go to trigger and then you go to display. This is like the basics of weakauras. You want to know how to use those two tabs most of the time. Everything else is a little bit of an extra most of the time. So you can add texts here, you can add ticks, like I said in videos before. You can add glows, you can add a lot of special things. For example, you can add a border, which makes it looks very cool, like this golden border, which like make it a little bit thicker, like everything like this. You could do your your rage bar and your swing timers with borders, which would look really cool. So you can make a lot of stuff here. Yeah. But yeah, we are only going to talk about the functional stuff today. If you look to make your interface more fancy, you can hit me up and ask me how to do it, or you just experiment a little bit with your tool here and you will figure it out eventually. So yeah, so one of the most important things are those textures. You can activate them or deactivate them, and then you can add them obviously, and you can change what the text will like show to you, which information the text gives away. So for example, if you type in this thing, you type in %p, it says progress, the remaining time of a timer or a non-timer value. This in the case of a power bar, this just means the amount of rage you have right now. So, and this thing is %n, so there's like if you hover over it, you can see it gets explained here. And here there's, for example, if you type in %n name, the name of the display, usually an aura name, or the display place ID if there is no dynamic name. In this case it's our name, and I don't know if you want that. I really don't want that. So the next thing we can do with the text is we can change the text to like another font. Yeah, you can, so you can really change your style here. Let's go for this one right now. You can obviously change the size here. So make it, the number of rage you have right now needs to be very visible again. So I make it like on 30, which is very big, but at the same time it's very visible. And you can add the shade, so it makes it even more visible. And then you can anchor the text, anchor this one, so you can like put it anywhere. If you want to have it right at the center, you set the values here to 0, and then you click on to this one, center, so it gets placed in the center obviously. So, and then you want your rage bar at the center as well, so you make this offset, the X offset to 0, so now it's right at the middle. So I obviously want that. Oh, most of you guys want that. You can add a spark. No, not this one. That was the icon. You can add a spark here, which will like make it a little bit more visible where your rage is right now. I kind of like that. And yeah, so it doesn't matter. Now we have our completely functional rage bar. Here, it's function. It's good, it's visible, it's nice. You can change the look like I said, with a couple of options you have there, but right now it works fine for us. So the next thing you want to do is you want to maybe add a swing timer, but you don't need it right now, so we're just going to continue with Bartender 4, so we get that out of the way. Bartender 4 is a lot easier to use. So first of all, you can, if you left click on Bartender, you can drag everything around like that, very easy. You can make this that they don't snap. For example, if you put them here, they kind of like magnets, they snap together. You can disable it with that. So if you click with right click on the Bartender icon on your minimap, it will open the add-on menu. And here you can disable, for example, the Blizzard art bar, which I guess you want to. You can enable or disable XP bar. Here's the experience bar. It's very small right now, but you can scale it up and drag it everywhere you want. So, but we don't want that right now. We don't want reputation bar. We don't, vehicle bar doesn't matter right now. Stance bar. We leave it on right now, but you could disable it if you want. Pet bar micro menu, which is this one, we want to have right now. Yeah, there's one thing I have to mention, back bar we want as well right now, but you could disable them obviously. You can scale them up and everything. So there's one thing, I have to mention, since the update with the group finder that no one uses, Bartender is a little bit strange with the micro menu. You cannot open your game menu with clicking on the tab, because it will open this one. So you need to have a keybind for your options menu. So if you don't have a keybind for this menu, you need to turn off Bartender, make a keybind for the menu, and then turn Bartender on again, so that you are still able to access this tab without even with the little bit bugged Bartender micro menu. So, like I said, you want to clump up your abilities below your swing timer. So if you do not want to use the advanced interface, you can drag your bars below here like this. And then you can you see which bar it is when you click with left click on the bartender thing. It's bar 6, bar 5 and bar 1. So for example, I want to have bar 6, I want to modify bar 6, you can click here and then you can scale it up. Obviously you can change the number of buttons that the action bar has available. You can change the spacing between those bars. You can make it that it's like not that visible anymore, like almost in stealth here. And you can change the rows, which is most of the time one of the more interesting stuff, because this way you can make a little bit of a square here. So you could do a square over here and make like a little box for your spells, you know. So yeah, then how you can hide the macro text. You will figure everything out, I guess, because everything here is very self-explanatory. And yeah, visibility here, you can make it so that the action bar is invisible, like that. And then you can click always hide, so you can decide when it's going to hide and when it's going to show. If you click always hide, it's always hidden. If you click that, if you don't have this active, it will appear if you hover over the action bar, which is kinda handy sometimes, especially if you're just starting out with this kind of interface. So this is how you can vanish your bars. And this is how you can maneuver them around and where you want to place them. So there's one special thing about you can enable more bars or less bars or anything. So there's one thing that is a little bit special about Bartender when you have a class that has like different stances, like Druid, Rogue, or Warrior. So you can see here, this bar is my Berserker stance bar. You can see this because there's intercept in the bar, there's Berserker Rage in this bar, and whirlwind, stuff like this. This one is obviously my defensive stance bar because here's taunt, here is disarm, revenge, everything. This is my bar for how you call it for battle stance. So if you go into Berserker stance, your bar 1 will become bar 9. If you go into defensive stance, your bar 1 will become bar 8, like this. If you go to battle stance, your bar 1 become bar 7. So this maybe will confuse you. This confused me back in the day. This is why I mention it here, so that you don't get confused. Alright, so let's deactivate all those bars right now, because we are going to continue with weakauras, because Bartender, you know everything you want to know right now, everything you need to make your skeleton, the skeleton of your interface, that is. So let's even get the stance bar out of the way, and the other things as well. Where is it? Micro menu, the back bar as well. So make it super clean. So what you want to do now, when you positioned your bars, or you made them all invisible, you want to position like things like your chat, your minimap, and your character, and your target, of course. So my character I like to have here. I think it's kind of cool. And yeah, my enemy, like I said, somewhere around here. For PvE I would have him here, but in PvP I like to have it somewhere around here. So I see when he's standing here and he casts, I can swoop here with my attention and see what he's casting if I don't have the nameplate in range. So this is why for PvP I kinda like to have it somewhere around those. And here it doesn't really matter for PvE, so this is my setup. You can find your own, obviously, you need to find your own. So let's continue with the next add-on, with the next Weakaura. Next Weakaura is swing timer, and how you can make it easier that it will like be a little bit in the same style like this one. Let's say, for example, we choose to use the solid style here, and maybe the Morpheus font, so that it's every time it's in the same style, we can just copy this one. We right click on the Ragebar and click duplicate. So now we have two Ragebars that are like, yeah, hovering over each other, or I don't know how to say, but here it doesn't matter. You want to change the trigger, however, because right now it's a Ragebar, but we're gonna change that to a swing timer. And for that, we keep on player unit info, I think, here, and then we activate swing timer, and then we drag the swing timer above the Ragebar. Here you can make the weakauras visible on these little marks here. So I want to see both right now, so I can put them in line properly. So right now they are directly over each other. The swing timer I like to have a little bit thinner, more thin than the swing timer, than the Ragebar. So yeah, now we have these two bars over each other, and we can change in display a couple of things. We maybe need to change a couple of things. So we really want to change the color, I think, because Rage and swing on the same color could be a little bit confusing if you have them so close to each other. And then we want to look at the text, what the text is showing right now. The text shows the remaining time of a timer or non-timer value. So this will most likely mean that how long the swing takes to come through. So this is okay, and we want to have it in the middle as well, because if we have the timer too far in the left side or at the end, it will be a little bit funky with the tick we add later to the swing timer, because remember we need our latency tick to cast or slam properly. So now that is what we're gonna do now. Make it black, the tick. So we add the tick at the value that is like our swing timer, like our value that we figured out, like you guys figured that out. I have a video about that. If you don't know what this is all about, you click the video that is linked right now. It's really important for your DPS. So here the other thing is I like to see the maximum amount of time my swing, like I want to see my current attack speed. If I only have this number here, I see how much time my swing takes right now, like how much remaining time I have on the swing, but I want to see my maximum, like my attack speed right now as well. And for that you can type in %n, which is %t, which is, if you can read here, it's total the maximum duration of a timer. So the maximum duration of my swing timer obviously is my swing speed right now. Very simple. So activate the text, make it maybe I think the size of the text will be a little bit too big, so we do it like 22 right now. We want to have the same font, so it's more voice. We want to have the same size, and the anchor would be on the right side. Yeah, I think this is about right. You can test those things if you have mobs around. This is why I like to set my interface in a every time I make a new interface, I need to be close at an enemy, or at ideally close to how you call it, a training dummy, like those guys. And you can see our string timer is completely functional. It shows the remaining time, it shows the maximum time, so we can kinda calculate how much attack speed we have. And we have the latency tick for our slam. Boop. Would have worked if the mob wouldn't have died to the sword spec auto attack. Here. So now you have your swing timer and you have your Ragebar, which is like the most important thing for your rotation other than your buttons that you want to press. So and now we are coming to the stuff that you need to do a lot if you want to make the new interface, and this is to show your cooldowns. So we click new aura again, or not again, we copied the last one, but we click on new aura, and I like to use, or I suggest you use the icon tab here. So you click icon, you have it right here, and you go to triggers. Obviously we go to triggers every time, and then you can select spell on the type trigger, on the type drop down menu, sorry, and then it's already set to cooldown charges count. So if it's not already, you can open the drop down menu and change it to cooldown charges count, and then you type in, for example, mortal strike, and then you have your mortal strike. So let's put the mortal strike right here because it's the most important spell, I guess. And yeah, now you can modify this obviously a little bit. So you can, if you for example click on show cooldown here, there will be this thing running if it's on cooldown. You can do a cooldown edge, so then you're there's a little bit of an edge going on. You can inverse that, like make it like so, that it's yeah, can make all kind of stuff here. And then you can add the text, obviously. For example, the remaining time on this Weakaura would be like a number here that shows you the cooldown. And you can add the glow. You can again add the border, which makes it like look really fancy. You could, for example, make all your damage cooldowns with a red border, and all your defensive cooldowns with a green border, everything like this. You can be really creative with this stuff, and it's honestly a lot of fun to take your time and build an interface like that yourself. There's a lot more you can do with this add-on. This is only like the scratch. So let's see if this Weakaura works first. It works. So now it's a little bit awkward. It shows like 2 timers. So because it's a cooldown Weakaura, and we clicked that one, it will by default show a cooldown in the middle of the button. So we can just disable this text. And yeah, this is, now you can copy this, duplicate, and you type in real wind. You drag it, you display all, you show all Weakauras, so you can put them nicely together. Now you have real wind next to mortal strike. Then you copy that again, and you do it for every spell you have. Rotation spells I made like very big, So I made a couple of those, copied a couple of those, made some sweeping, no, what is this, sweeping straiku, and yeah, put them here. And then I created one new that is like for a little bit of smaller cooldown, for like the big cooldowns, not the ones that is for rotation. And I, for example, typed in taunt, and then I copied this, made a mocking blow, is it spelled like that? Yeah. So, and then you can drag them around, put them anywhere you want, and this way you build your thingy interface like your invisible, almost invisible interface, and it is like really advanced. So you need to keep all the all the abilities in mind, so everything is stored in your mind and not displayed on the screen, which will be a big difference in fights. You will notice that if you master this interface. So yeah, I kind of suggest you going to do that if you go really try hard. If you really want to improve, you kind of want to do that. I'm going to do that as well soon, like next couple of days. I'm gonna start and level a new warrior. My hardcore character is still alive though. I don't know how much time I can invest into the new 2 warriors and my other warrior and the videos, but I'm going to try at least. So but I'm kinda advanced with the class anyway, so maybe I don't need to level a new warrior to get used to this interface. Alright, so next thing on the list. Next weakauras we are going to need, or we want to have, are like weakauras that track the cooldown of items, right? So there is a way to make weakauras for health stones and stuff like this, but to be honest, I don't know. That's my honest thing. I don't know how to make a weakaura for health stones, and I figured that I don't really need to, because like I showed you in my other interface, I have this little toolbar below my character where my potions and my health stones and everything is, and I'm happy with this. So I don't so I don't need this. But however, what I want to have is a weakaura for my Trinket cooldown. You can make it with that. So you copy one of those things, and then you go not onto spell here, you go onto item, and then you can select item slot, and then you can, for example, use Trinket 1. Trinket 1 is right now PvP insignia, so perfect. Weakaura already done. So yeah, this is how you can make trinkets, weapons, anything. Then there's another thing you want to know how to do, and this is like duration of buff effects or debuff effects. So for this, I suggest you take maybe a bar again. Let's make it with a new aura. Take a progress bar, go to trigger, and then you have aura player buff. You could do debuff as well, for example, if you're a PvP player and you want to know how long the Frost Nova is going to root you or anything. It doesn't matter. Or boss mechanics are very good for that as well. So maybe you know the name of the boss debuff that is going to get thrown onto you, so you can select debuff here, and then you click the name thingy here, and then you just type in the name of the debuff from the boss, or maybe like rend. So now I know when rend is on me, on my character, and I know the duration. You can do another thing, you can do target, and then this weakaura will show the duration of the rend on the target. So this is really helpful, right? So, and then, but right now we are looking at buffs. So what is it? Player. So player, you are a player. You're like a really nice player here. So rent is not a buff, so this would never work, but we could type in recklessness. Now this bar shows me the duration of recklessness. Or I can type in yeah, the duration of recklessness, and then I can put like make it so that the bar goes from bottom to the top. No, this is kind of strange, from top to the bottom, and I can put it maybe over my character, or I can put it here, anywhere you want, really. And then there are things, for example, if this is a proc or a boss debuff that gets randomly thrown onto you, right, you can go to actions, and then you can play sounds. This is like really cool. So you can select the sound channel. This is doesn't really matter. Just put it to master, and then you can choose a sound that will be played on your game sound, over your game sound, if the ability gets like active. So we could make it like where is it? Here, wicked male lord. Hear that? This would come every time you press recklessness, which is kind of badass to be honest. So yeah, this is kind of nice, and this is what you need next when you have all your cooldowns. You want to set up weakauras for debuffs, for example, mortal strike. A lot of mobs mortal strike you in dungeons if you're the tank, and you maybe want to see that debuff. So you can make a weakaura for mortal strike debuff. You can make weakaura for any kind of buffs, really. And then you want to place them, obviously. This is one more thing that goes into your decision making for your rotation, so it shouldn't really be up here. It shouldn't really be up here. It should be anywhere around here. So you want to make you a little bit of a plan there. So I always like to display all the weakauras I have right now to make to work on my interface. So, and then there's another thing that you might want to know, because maybe you wondered in my interface that you know from my other videos. There's a lot of like crazy things like fire and stuff like this going on. For this, you press onto model, and then you can add a trigger, for example, player buff def wish. How is it spelled? Def wish. Def wish. Okay, there we have it. Yeah, it's then you can make an animation. So you can click when you go to display. You can change the animation here. I suggest you go to spells, and then you can search for anything really. For example, this fire, or like an explosion. So you can make a sound and an effect that is like displayed when something happens. Or you could make like this, you know, make it so that it seems like you have some kind of buff. When you use your shield wall, for example, for the duration of your shield wall, this kind of is under your character. Stuff like this. You can do a lot of cool stuff with this. If you can get really creative. Alright, so there are two more very important things that you need to know how to write a weakaura for that. When you want to use the Super Inter Pro Invisible Weakaura interface, I mean. And this is, first of all, if you don't have an action bar, things like being able to use Victory Rush, for example, isn't really visible, right? Because it's not going to light up on your action bar, because there's no action bar. Or if you can use execute, I mean, you could technically look at the boss HP, but sometimes you want to have it a different way. So how you want to set up a weakaura that shows you that your Victory Rush is available? You create a new one. You go to trigger, and then you go to I think it's player, and then it should be spell, and then it's not cooldown, it's action usable, and then you type in execute, boop, and this will show up when you can use execute. For example, if you get a sudden death proc in future times. And here then you could type in Victory Rush, and there you have your Victory Rush aura. So this is one thing that is really important important, I mean, for your interface that you maybe want to build. And then there's the other thing that is really important, and that is a display for your global cooldown, because here obviously if you don't have any action bars, you do not really see your global cooldown, right? So what I suggest you do is you copy maybe your swing timer, so you duplicate it, and then you go to spell, and then you take global cooldown, and now you have a Weakaura for your global cooldown. You can put it anywhere you want. I suggest to put it like, let's see, all the Weakauras, maybe here, right below your skills, and then we do not want to have a tick, because why should we? We don't really need text for global cooldown because it's always 1.5 seconds. You could use a text, it's up to you, but we really want the spark. Like, I like to have it like that. For example, make it really small, and then if we use a spell, you can see the global cooldown is running. Yeah, let's show it again. Here, so you can see when you can press the next button. You kind of need that if you use this interface. Yeah, so this is basically everything you need to know about weakauras to build your own weakauras. There will always, like, the more advanced you get with the add-on, the more wishes you get, like the more creative you get with your interface, the more stuff you want to have, and you wonder how this is going to, like, how you can do that, right? At least that's what it was for me. And so this knowledge is only the basic, and there will be a point in which this knowledge isn't enough anymore. And when you reach this point, you can rather ask me in my Discord, or you can, or in-game if you have me on Battle.net, or you can just look tutorials. There are like a lot of tutorials, I think, or you can try to go to Vago.io and see if someone else made a Weakaura that you need, and you can copy those from there. So there's one more Weakaura I suggest you to get, which is the Sweeping Strikes Weakaura. The Sweeping Strikes Weakaura will be linked in the description. It's a progress bar that has 2 numbers on it, which is 1, the remaining time. So you would go to weakauras, select progress bar, select player buff, right, because it's sweeping strikes, it's a buff on you, on yourself. You select buff player, you type in sweeping strikes, and then you have your progress bar, which is showing you the duration of sweeping strikes. And then you need 2 texts on the bar. So I'm not going to show you how to make this yourself. You're going to know it by now. So you add 2 texts. One is need to show you the duration of sweeping strikes. The other text will need to show you this text of sweeping strikes, because those 2 values are extremely important for your decision making in cleave situations. And yeah, the other thing that is really important is auto attack, timer, and rage. So you want to put the sweeping strikes Weakaura rather below your rage bar or above your swing timer. I think that's everything for this video. There is new videos coming, obviously. I kinda did everything for guides, like for main stuff on guides, but there will be new informations coming every now and then. Right now I have a couple of new things that I first need to try out before I can put them out, because I'm not really safe to say if they're true or not. And yeah, stuff like this. I have a whole record of Karazhan that I want to put out there, and stuff like this. So obviously Boss Overanalyzed series is going to continue as soon as I have new footage. And yeah, I hope this 100 subscriber special was fun for you to watch, and I hope you try to build your interface, get a little bit creative and have a little bit of fun. You can share your interface and your weakauras on my Discord channel with other people. I would really like to see that. So you can learn, together and show off what you have created. And in that sense, we will see each other in the next video. Goodbye.